Hey YouTube, this is Carl. My name is Carl Watson. I'm on Team Destroyer, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my worm deck. Without further ado, this is my version of the worms. It's topped at basically the last 5 weeks at local. So here it is. I hope you guys like it. Starting up the monster lineup. Starting out with three Carteros. This is the searcher of my worm deck. More or less, when this guy is set and flipped, you can basically get out any level 4 or lower worm monster. It searches it right to your hand. Great plus for the deck. Next up on the lineup, the staple for the monster, 3 EX. EX basically is like Foolish Burial for the deck. It basically dumps a monster out of the deck, puts it in the graveyard. The combo with this deck is the EX Yagan play, which basically brings me to my next monster. Next we run 3 Worm Yagans. Worm Yagan is basically a compulsory for the deck. Basically, when somebody attacks into it, you put their monster back in hand, or if you flip it, you put their monster back in hand. It's good at 3 because you run 3 EX, and then you dump Yagan, and it's an instant +1. You dump him. If Yagan's the only card on the field, you can bring him automatically out to the field, which is a great plus. He has 1800 defense, so more or less, he's always good. The next monster on the lineup is Worm King. This guy is basically greatness. Worm King has he's a 2700 beater. He's searchable. He only takes 1 tribute, and more or less, basically he's like a descendant for the deck. You can pop any worm monster to pop a card on your opponent's side of the field, and you can pop himself. So bottomless, he gets over bottomless. He gets over torrential. He gets over pretty much everything. They put it. I mean, when he comes out there, you just activate his effect, tribute it off, and still pop if they try to get rid of it. Only thing that gets him is like the prism for the most part. Also, I run 2 Worm Queens in my deck. She's another searcher. Basically, she can tribute off for herself or any other worm basically that's in the deck. She's level 8, so you can tribute her off for 1 level 8 or lower monster. Basically, all she's really good for is a beat stick and searching. I like to use the EX play with it. If you future fuse at the beginning of the duel, you can always dump all of your Yagans in there, attack with her, and tribute her off and get the EX out of the deck, and then special summon out a Yagan. It's greatness. Next up on the list, I run 1 Apocalypse just for a little bit of extra back row destruction. They have that 1 problem card like Oppression that you just can't get over. This is a quick way to get over Oppression. Set them, flip, blow up 1 back row, a spell or a trap. The next worm, I run Worm Solid. There's no real reason I run him. He's also back row destruction. His defense goes up for every worm in the graveyard. More or less, he's just a nice extra worm for the deck. I mean, he's just something else I can use when I future fuse. That's a different name worm that I can use to future fuse with. And his effect is not too shabby as well. He gains 100 for every worm that's in the graveyard, and when your opponent takes damage, he destroys a back row card. Next, a tech that I put into the deck, I run Mechlord Wisel. I don't run, but I think like 16 monsters in the deck, so Wisel comes in pretty handy when someone tries to dark hole you or, do something to basically kill off your monster. You replace it, and then you can take the synchro if they have any, and you can also negate a magic card on either player's turn. It's pretty much greatness. You get him off, Hit that Wazelle play on him. Can't really do too much to counter that. But Wazelle. Honest. Except for Wazelle, every other monster in the deck is a light monster. So Honest is always good. It's insurance. Next is the Magic lineup. I run 3 Viper's Rebirths. Viper's Rebirth is like Monster Reborn for this deck. You Viper's Rebirth Queen and you get out whatever you want basically with Viper's Rebirth. You can hit for 27, tribute Queen off, and get out a monster that will stay there permanently. I run Book of Moon. Even though Book of Moon is at 1, it's still good because it's Book of Moon. And Book of Moon is still greatness. Monster Reborn. Staple, basically. I run 1 enemy controller. I run enemy controller at 1 pretty much because I don't have another one to stick in the deck. I have it. My other ones are in other decks right now. But enemy controller is good. I would suggest to at least side 1 other enemy controller because I mean you can take it all. You can take another opponent's monster, exceed with it. It's a plethora of things that you can do with enemy controller. It's just a great card, especially seeing as how Book of Moon is at 1 right now. I run Darkhold, staple for the deck. You have to have Darkhold, get that clearing of the field, even if it's just for 1 monster. That problematic monster gets it off the field. Giant Trunade, another staple for the deck. Get over those back row so you can do all the special summoning that you need to do. Future Fusion. This is like one of the best cards in the deck. It lets you dump however many worms you want in the graveyard for worm 0. And at that point, you basically can go ham on your opponent. There's nothing too much they can do. There's always your occasional, if you go second, they'll MST it. But outside of that, Future Fusion goes hard every single time. Lastly, I have my traps. I run 2 D Prisms in this deck. D Prism gets over Stardust. Gets over pretty much everything that could cause you the headache as far as being attacking. Like I said, I only run 18 monsters. And I don't like to summon out my... Well, I run 18 monsters and I only run 16 worm monsters. I don't like to summon out my Honest or my Wazelle. You can't summon out Wazelle, so I really don't like to summon out Honest if I don't have to. And this buys you time to get that worm monster that you're gonna need in order to make the major play. I run 2 Offering to the Snake Deity because, you know, it's a great ass card. I mean, it's back row destruction, monster destruction, whatever you need, it gets over it, you know. I run 2 Bottomless Trap Holes. These goes hard. I mean, it's just greatness. Bottomless always gets it in. Neither here nor there. Bottomless is always good. Staple. 1 7 Tools. Because it goes hard. Stops that Solemn or Warning. 1 Rivalry of the Warlords. Because they're all worms and they're all the same type. 1 Gozen Match because they're all light monsters. Call of the Hunted. Another staple. Mirror Force. Because it's Mirror Force. Staple. 1 Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment. Lastly, the best card in the deck, W Nebula Meteor. I run them at 3. It flips a worm. It flips all face down defense position monsters that's on the field. For every worm that flips up, you get their effects right then. And then at the end phase, it flips them back down. So you get their effects again next turn. Also, you get to draw one, and you can special out that king or that queen that you just don't want to draw into. It's greatness. It's a plus. There's no downside to this card, YouTube. That's pretty much it for the deck. At this point, all I have now is my extra deck and my side. For my side, I side MST. I don't really have to run MST because I have so much other destruction in the deck. That's my personal preference, but you know, it's arguable. MST is still a great card, and I'm still debating about putting it back in the deck, but you don't really need it because you have the 2 Icarus attacks, and you have Trunade, and you have King in the deck that pops off, and you have the Apocalypse, so I run my body as a shield. People like to run not necessarily Solemn, but they like to run Roll Oppression. This gets over Roll Oppression so good. When they try to destroy that monster, you just my body it, and that takes care of that Roll Oppression, especially with it being at 1. I side 2 Alien Brains because it's Change of Heart. Anytime you can take your opponent's monster, that's greatness. Chain Disappearance, which is pretty much good for any other synchro deck. Chain Disappearance goes hard. Mirror of Oaths. Mirror of Oaths stops Fishy OTK. It stops Glad Beast. Great card. Basically, when they special out of the deck, destroy everything they specialed out and draw. I side another Rivalry of the Warlords because that's greatness. I side 2 Noblemen Across out for all those face down monster players other than myself. You know, Nobleman goes in. 1 Puppet Plant. I used to side 2 Puppet Plants, but Puppet Plant is a pretty good card in the side. I mean, it gets over all those Spellcaster Warrior decks. I side 2 Pulling the Rugs. Pulling the Rug just goes in against anything that has that effect when it gets summoned out. I side 2 Malevolence and 1 Decree. This is for the back row. Since this format back row is so heavy, this goes in real good. Lastly, System Down. System Down gets over all those Machina players. Then my extra deck, I run Utopia, as well as the star of the deck, Worm Zero. Worm Zero is the ultimate monster of the deck. Once he comes out, that's pretty much game over. For every different type, he gets a boost. So, this is my deck, YouTube. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully real soon you'll be hearing from other members of Team Destroyer. So subscribe to our channel and let us know what you think. Appreciate it, guys.